Let's see. All right, I think we should get started. Let me read the chat. Okay, guys. So the way I tend to work, it's hard for me to do seriously interactive stuff. I can't keep track of the I can't keep track of the chat. I jump around too much. It distracts me too much. I have enough trouble staying on topic myself. So generally, I don't answer. I don't pay attention to the chat. You need to use the Q&A for questions, and you can put them in whenever it comes up. I will answer every Q&A question now at the time. I may not have a good answer, and you may ask me about something I don't know, which case the answer would be I don't know. But I will get to every one of them, and you can do more than one, and you can do follow-ups there and all that. So hang around, and we'll get to all that. Okay, so let's get started with this. Yeah. First, the disclaimer. That's new for me. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. That. Oops, wrong one. All right. We can't do that. All right. So the disclaimer, and this is the usual legalese stuff. I'm not a doctor. We're not telling you can use this instead of a doctor. I'm not making any claims here. I'm just telling you what it is for me and what I do. That's what I'm doing. Copy of the presentation. So one of the things that happens in a couple days when the recording becomes available at Spooky 2 Academy, there'll also be a copy of the presentation, a PDF. And so you can get it there. You can also email me at spookytechhelp@gmail.com, and I can send you that. I've got a couple of handouts, which aren't done yet. Sorry. It's sort of the step-by-step of what you do. There's actually two of those. And the reason I do those is like what I find is some people are visual learners. They really like this sort of format. Some people prefer to read stuff. And some people who are still visual learners like to have a step-by-step on the side until they really get the hang of it. So I'll be publishing that as well for the two things that are the two big deliverables in this. So watch for that if you want that. Okay, introduction. Okay, so again, there's my email, spookytechhelp@gmail.com. I grew up doing information technologies. I'm a techie. That's a really important. And I've done a lot of technical support with my technical jobs. So I'm used to working with people that maybe don't have a huge technical background. And I actually tailor my presentations to that, as you'll see in just a few minutes. One of the things that's important about that, I'm not a frequency practitioner. So if you're saying, hey, I'm doing this and it's not working, and should I use a different waveform or different whatever, I can't help you with that. And I'll tell you that on Facebook, where you can reach me easily and reach a bunch of other really good people. But I can help you figure out what to search on and that sort of stuff. But again, I'm not a practitioner. I don't actually treat anybody. I help my friends a little bit, but it's not the same thing. It's not like I've treated 50 people with cancer or with Lyme or whatever. That's not who I am. I've had my spooky system since 2018. I currently have 2 GX generators, 16 XMs, and you'll see why in a little while. I have the colloidal silver kit. I have a central plasma that I've had for almost 2 years now, and had a scaler for about a year. So you're welcome to reach out to me anytime through email or Telegram channel. I'm an admin now in the Spooky 2 Right for Life Facebook group. It's a really good Facebook group. A lot of people really dislike Facebook. Actually, I'm one of them. I really don't like Facebook, but that's where there's a bunch of volunteers doing this. It's worth it. If you're not in there, you should be. And I have to tell you why I do the presentations. A lot of people buy the equipment and they don't know what to do. I mean, they buy it because they need it. But it's spooky. Spooky was created by a bunch of techies, and they did all kinds of techie stuff. And the software grew up from that point of view, and it still has a lot of that in that. But and while the software looks really daunting, it's really not. It's actually fairly simple to use, and I hope to show you some of that tonight. At least I find it simple to use. I mean, I'm a techie, and what I don't know, I can figure out. But if you stick with the basics and the basics work, 95% of what's in the spooky software, you don't care about, don't need to know, and you'll never look at. Literally. But having said that, you can treat everything without knowing that stuff. So keep that in mind. So I actually have this personal goal to make sure that someone who purchased spooky equipment can use it. It's really important to me. I got into that about 2 years ago now. Yeah, well, maybe it was only a year ago. Somebody on Facebook, they were having some serious problems. They had bought a Spooky Central and Plasma, like in the fall of 2023, and they couldn't get it to work, and they stuck it on a shelf, and that's where it sat and collected dust. They bought something else that was simpler to use, and so she had come back to the Facebook group in May of 24, and she um, she really wanted to get her spooky working, and so I worked with her on that. And so we actually did a one-on-one with her because I mean, yeah, it was a one-on-one. Okay, plug this in here, sort of stuff. And so she gets on the Zoom session, and she had just come back from the doctors, and all of her cancer numbers and from tests were way up. So she was really devastated by that. And it's like, well, let's get this working, and let's see if it'll help. And so we went through and got everything working and set up, and so she could do what she needed to do, the cancer treatment she wanted to do. And so I checked in with her about 2 months later, and she again had just come back to the doctor, and all her numbers were way down. She was thrilled, but my point was, it really bothered me. She spent the money on spooky and couldn't get it to work, and that's why I do the one-on-ones. That's why I do the stuff on Facebook, because I want people to be able to use use the programs and use the equipment, because I believe it works. Will it cure everything for everybody? Nope, it will not do that. Sorry, but it will work. It'll help on many things for many people. Is what it boils down to. Okay, today we're going to talk about skills taught. We're going to talk about stickers. I have a couple demos I'm going to do. We'll do some technical background at the end, and I'll provide some resource list of what I do and why I do it. That's interspersed in here. We'll do some serious Q&A. I'll talk about some training resources in general, and then we'll do a wrap up. So hopefully that will go well. Take this off. I gotta keep track of my time. Okay, introduction to imprinting. So hopefully, I mean, this is a beginner's course. It really is. And so I don't know if you're an advanced whatever, you've been imprinting for 8 years and all that. I don't know what you'll get out of this. Although if you're like me, I get something out of everyone I go to. So hopefully I'll have some stuff for you. And there's a lot of repeat stuff in here that I say several times, and I do that because these are for beginners. You know, I if you've been doing imprinting for a couple of years, you don't really you know how imprinting works, and so you're going to find some of the stuff redundant, but hopefully I'll still cover some good stuff for you. All right, so imprinting is essentially writing selected frequencies into a medium. A good example of that, believe it or not, is a videotape. So you have a videotape, and you could put a movie on it. You could put TV shows on it. Remember the days of videotape? Sorry, I digress. But that's what videotapes were. You could erase them, you could reuse them, all that sort of stuff. They'd wear out, by the way. And by the way, if you recorded something in a videotape 30 years ago, there's a really good chance you can't play it, even if you can find a player, because it degrades. But so this is really similar to that concept, to what's called magnetic recording. That's a really good analogy of what imprinting is. So you can put frequencies in any crystalline structure. Holographic material, you can do it in oil, water, crystals. Plus, you can use any of these devices to do the imprinting. You can use your remote. You can use a PEMF coil. And I do both of those. You can use the cold laser to do this. You can use a plasma to do that. You can use a scaler to imprint. Today, what we're talking about is imprinting holographic stickers. That's all I'm going to talk about. And the reason is this is for beginners. So the intent of that is that, yep, this is what I'm teaching. That my goal literally is, when we get done with this seminar tonight, you can go create stickers immediately. You probably have everything, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, to do that. And there's no reason that you can't do that. And I really like stickers. I'm really into them. But we're doing two big things tonight. Actually, you're doing two things. We're going to show you how to create the sticker shell preset that I use, and we're going to show you how to actually imprint holographic stickers. And this is a soup to nuts sort of presentation. We're going to talk about every step. So hopefully it's not too boring for you. We'll see what happens as we move along. So that's what it is, the two things. And again, my seminars, I teach skills. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not teaching theory. You can read about theory, watch other people's stuff. This is, I want you to be able to do this in 2 hours from now. All right. What do I do with stickers? All right. That's an important question because a lot of people are doing a lot of interesting things with stickers. I do some interesting things. Number one, I use stickers for localized treatment. As a matter of fact, in my experience, if it's localized, I believe they work better than remote mode. And I like remote mode. And I've used it and it helps me and all that. But for instance, I had I broke a bone in my left foot about 2 years ago. Yeah, about that. And so I started doing various things on it. And part of what I did was I did a sticker for broken bones and I stuck it on my foot. I literally did that because that's what I use stickers for. It's like I have a sore knee, that's where the sticker goes. You know, my wife has carpal tunnel, that's where the sticker goes. Actually, she has restless legs. Actually, she put that stickers on the base of her spine, and that works for her. I've done stickers for all kinds of stuff, and I've had really good luck with most of them. I mean, yeah, there's some that don't seem to work as well, like everything else. And that could be because I picked the wrong frequencies or whatever, but I use them all the time. Actually, I have a friend who she has a fairly large cyst in a breast. It's very painful. She's had them off and on for 20 years. They've been removed, they come back. They're really painful. They're not cancerous. And so I was talking to her a couple months ago, and I was telling her about I was doing a spooky presentation, and I told her about it, and she wanted to know why these breast things. And I said, "Oh, I'll go home. I actually picked there's a single program for breast cysts. Okay, so I used that and I imprinted her some stickers on that. Took it back to her the next day, and one of the things I do when I do things for friends, I say, look, I've made this for you. It's supposed to help with this, but you have to promise me that you'll give me feedback. You can tell me it doesn't work. That's fine. I just want to know because my view is stickers don't work for everything and everybody, but they work for some things on everybody. That's what I've found. And so, yeah, she promised me she'd do that. And so I checked with her a couple days later, and she said she put them on, and she couldn't even sleep on that side before. Pain went away. She's still using them today. So when it flares up, she'll put put a sticker on and do it that way. And we'll talk about how long they work. But I mean that's an example, and I've got other examples of that with friends as well. So I think they work very well for localized treatment. I like to give them to friends. I don't want to dedicate a remote, as you all know. Well, you should know this, is that usually when you're doing remote, you're doing stuff 24/7, and you're doing it for some amount of days or weeks or a month, depending on the situation. Well, I don't really want to use my remotes and tie them up for other people. I bought them for me and my family, but I can give to friends. It takes me a couple hours to make some stickers and give them to them, and almost everybody I've done that for have been it's worked for every one of them. It's low cost. I get my stickers from Amazon. We'll talk about that later. It costs me $8 for 1,000 stickers. So that's real easy to do, and we'll show you all that in a minute. And where do you put the sticker? Well, you put it on where you want to treat it. That's the reason I think they work better than remote. Remote is really good because it sends the frequencies to all the cells in your body. That's great. And it's really good for depending on what kind of problem you have. But if I have a sore knee, or for instance, I've had problems. I had a bone bruise and stuff in my foot, and it was great for that. Did a great job for that. And so I've been very happy for localized treatment, and I think it works better than remote. So where does the sticker go? It goes on where it hurts or what I'm trying to treat. That's literally where I put it. Okay, now there's essentially 11 steps to creating a sticker. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not, because they're all really simple steps. I do 4 stickers at a time. I erase the stickers with a magnet, and I've used a refrigerator magnet and just run it over it a few times, and that's it. I label the stickers before I cut them up because it's easier to do that way. So for instance, I'll put I'll put the foot on it and a date of when I made it. So because I think they do have a shelf life. We'll talk about that later. I cut it into individual stickers, so I'm only doing 4 at a time. And you'll see that I put them in the remote. That's the way I do all of my stickers. I don't imprint them with anything else. I simply use the remote. You can use other things, but one of the things I like about the remote is the remote is a fairly concentrated source of energy when you're running it. And so, and I want as much oomph as I can get into that because I want to put as much uh, power, if you will, into the frequencies as possible to do, and I find that works best with the remote. So I put them there. Let's see, I did that. I load my sticker shell. We'll talk about that in a little while. I put a bunch of frequencies in it. I save it because I save everything. And the reason I save everything is I'll make a sticker, it works great, whatever, and then I move on. And then 3 months later, hey, I need more of those stickers. I have no idea what I put into it. If you don't save it, you're going to have a real problem because they work really well, and you're going to want to make more in 2 or 3 months, and you're going to have to try to figure out what did I put in there? Because if you have what's a good example? A back pain, and you made something that works really well. There's a lot of back pain programs out there. If you don't choose the right ones or the same ones again, that may not work for you. So I save the preset, I load it, drop it in the generator, and start the generator. And we'll talk about time in a minute. I like to run them for about 2 hours, and I'll talk about that why in a few minutes. I always remove the stickers while the generator is running. It's a debatable issue, not in my opinion, but just to be safe, you take it out because magnetism is not good for the stickers. It erases them, and so the remote has some significant magnets in it. And so while I think you could stop it and take it out, I don't see any reason to. I let it run. I mean, literally, I just open the little clamshell and do it that way, and everything's fine that way. And I've been very happy with it. And then I stop the generator after that. It's that simple, and we're going to do it a couple times. So here's the screen version of what we're doing. I cut 4 stickers from the roll. I erase them with a magnet. This is my magnet over here on the right. And this is, like I said, this happens to be some really powerful magnets. I've used refrigerator magnets if that's all I have at the moment. Then I actually label them and then cut them up. And by the way, when I erase them on the back side, because if you erase them on the front side, the magnet rubs against the stickers, then they may come off. And so on the back side, it works really well. Like I said, I just take it, I go it a couple of times, and I'm going to do it in just a minute, and that's what I do. And then I put a label on them with a Sharpie, because you can't use a ballpoint pen because it won't work. And then I stick them into the remote, shiny side down. I mean, that's that simple to get these things ready. That's how I prepare them. Once I do that, then I load my sticker shell, which we're going to create in just a little while. I load my sticker shell in my presets. Then I go add in whatever programs I want to the sticker shell. Now, why do I have a sticker shell? The reason I have a sticker shell is because for several reasons. Number one, there's certain there's certain amplitudes and waveforms that I prefer to use to make the stickers. And we can talk about that in a little while as well. Also, basically my stickers will run about in 1/9 of the time, literally. I think that's what it was, of the normal stuff. If you've been in stickers for a while, there's a woman named Stephanie Ah who pioneered a way to speed things up. Previously, what people would do is they'd load a remote shell program. They'd add a bunch of presets. Sorry, they'd add a bunch of programs in and run it and do it that way. Or they'd use a universal H-bomb or whatever. Well, the problem you get into is in this example that I have here. If I have this one for 30 minutes, this one 3 minutes, 18, 24, and some of these can get pretty long, and it takes that long to do it. But notice I've done all these, and the elapsed time for this is 9 minutes. And so, for instance, I have a pain sticker that would probably take it would take 12 hours or whatever to run if I was running it with universal H-bond. But I don't. I use this one, and this is per the Stephanie Ah thing. What I don't like about Stephanie Ah, and I'll show you a little bit in a minute. Stephanie Stephanie actually creates a program and then changes the runtime and saves it in the program's database. I don't like the program's database. I don't save anything in there because I find it confusing because you can't change them, you can't rename them. Well, you can, but it's a pain. And so I don't like doing that. And so that's one of the reasons I created my own preset, because I do all that in my shell preset. So I don't have to do any of that. I can add whatever I want into it and it does what I want. And we'll go into what I want in a few minutes when we actually make the sticker shell. So I just find some programs, add them in. I go back and save it. Like I said, I save it, and you'll see this on the next screen. So you have to do this in the preset screen. There's my my shell sticker. We save it, and then I named it specifically where I have a very specific naming convention. The reason I have that is I've been using this since 2018. Sometimes I need to go back and find stuff, and if I don't have the right stuff in it, and believe me, I ran into this a lot at the beginning, I found I needed a specific naming convention, and that's what this one is. This is the year, the month, the day. The RS means this is a sticker I made in the remote, RS. And then this is what I have in there. Literally, that is the naming convention ID. Because I named this way, well, actually, when I go into presets and go look at user ones, it sorts them in order, and you can't change that. My newest ones will always be at the bottom, always, because it increments for the day. And they're in alphanumeric order. So I know what they're going to be. Otherwise I could have named this back, I could have named it lumbar, I could have named it, Fred's back, I mean, whatever. And so finding it can be a challenge. This way I don't have to remember because I'm not that good at it. When I call it, I can just find it. So yep, we click this to load it. We go over to our friendly control tab. We click on overwrite generator, always a good idea. Click on the generator I want to run it on, click on start, and voila. And this is going to run for 9 minutes and 39 seconds. Now, what my preference, like I said, I like to let them cook for 2 hours. I want them to cook for 2 hours because I want to make sure the frequencies are really, really in there and really, in there solid. And so I leave them in for 2 hours, been happy with that. But if I'm really hurting right now, what I'll do is I'll let it run too. So I let it run about 20 minutes, and then I'll pull one sticker out and let the rest of them go on from there. And that works as well. I just am particular, and I like to run it for 2 hours. Okay, so now we're going to use the Spooky software. So for that, I need to do share, and we'll go into my Spooky. Okay, you should be seeing my Spooky screen now. If not, put that in the chat for Zara to take care of. So here we are and hopefully this looks familiar to you. If you're really new, and some people are, if you only have 4 tabs across the back, that's because you need to go into Utils and say toggle advanced features, because this is what it looks like. Okay, you only have the 4, and you it's the best way to put this diplomatically. You're going to need all 7. So don't worry about this advanced feature. You need them. There's some things you can't even do that are documented things that people want to do, like hunt and kill. But you have to have toggle advanced features in. So here we are in toggle advanced features. This is what it should look like. We're in the presets tab. So what I want to do is I want to create stuff. But before we do that, that's right. Sorry, I lost track of what I'm doing. So let's go into stop share. And then we're going to switch my camera to, if it does, which hopefully it will. Come on, you can do it. Oh, turn on the video. Let's see if I can get my, it's going to work. Okay. So here we are. Yep, that's me. All right. So literally what I'm going to do, let me get this out of the way. Here's my sticker. Again, $8 for 1,000 stickers. So what I'm going to do literally is I'm going to cut off. So I'm going to cut off 4 stickers. So now I have my 4 stickers. They're going face down on my table. I have this magnet here. that I usually have just magnetized to a screen and then to a screw. I take it on the back, rub it around a few times, no particular amount you have to do. That's it. It's erased. Then, but I'm not going to show you then, I use my Sharpie here and I write on them what they are. So I put in what it is and the date that I make it, and I always only do month and day of that. So you get into how long they last, and it depends on who you talk to. I had a friend that they would only last a week. He had some serious problems he was using to treat leg cramps. And he found after about a week, they didn't work as well. In my experience, it's at least a month before they start dropping off, assuming you take care of them, which means keep them out of the sun and keep them away from magnets. But it's up to you. Some people say, oh, if you get them wet, that may be true with crystals. It's not true with these things. I mean, these things, I take them, I'll stick them to my, I'll stick them in my wrist or whatever, and they'll be on there for several days. So once I put once I put my stuff on them, the labels, then I'm going to cut these things into 4. 1. So now I have 4 of these puppies. Now, put them together, sort them, and then we're going to go over here to my XM generator. I had some samples in there. Take those out. And you can do all this with it running. It's not a problem. Although right now we're setting it up, so the generator is not running. So I literally just open it up, put these guys in face down, make sure it closes. I hear it, listen to the click for that, and there it is. It's all set up. That's all you have to do to create the 4 stickers. So they're in them. They're waiting to be run. So let's go back to, yeah, let's go back there. Let's go back to my regular webcam. Come on, you can do it. There it is. All right. So now we go back and we're going to go back to Spooky. Okay. So again, here's my Spooky system. We're going to start here. Actually, we're going to go into, okay. We're going to go into user stuff. So if you don't know what that is, down here it says user, that's the same thing as hitting this, which is a lot easier. Here we are in here. We're going to talk about the shell sticker in a few minutes. We're just going to use it right now because that's what I want to do. I want to get this going. So we're going to kick this off. And we said, okay, we load our shell sticker. Now what do we do? We're going to go to programs here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to put some lumbar stuff in. Lumbar. All I do is search on lumbar. And I like and I like this a lot. The L1, I am double clicking on these. Notice they add to the list. L3, L4, L5. Suppose I put something in I didn't mean to, like that. I can go down here and double click on it and take it out of the list, right? So I put that stuff in there, but then I also decide I want to put in sciatica. Sciatica. You can't spell it. By the way, the programs, when you're searching in programs, it's not exactly, it's not better for me? Yeah, it is. It ain't Google, okay? It's not going to do correction stuff. And sometimes you have to do more than one word, which it shouldn't have to, but it works that way. So be patient with it. It's not perfect, but keep in mind it's not going to be able to fix your spelling errors and all that sort of stuff. So we'll put in there, and I like the lumbar compression. I'm going to put in all these sciatica things. Now, so we're at 9 minutes. And so, that's what I'm going to build at the moment. So I'm going to do all these programs. All these programs would take, what did I decide? I decided it was 9 times longer. I think that's right. So, I mean, this would take 81 minutes to run. And that would be going through once, okay? We're going to do this. I'm going to spend about 120 minutes, but I'm going to go through it about 20 times in that amount of time. So we've got this thing. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to save this. I believe in saving everything. And if it doesn't work, I can always erase it later, or I can change it later if I save it, but not here. It'll go back to the presets tab. And then we're going to save it here. And I'm going to save this thing. Oh, by the way, so we're here. We're in we're in user here, and then I want to do a save, and my naming convention 2025 0806 RS. So the date, remote sticker, and this is lumbar. Lumbar then plus, which is okay. Oh, plus sciatica. Sciatica. Now, when you're saving this stuff, you can use almost anything. Almost. You cannot use slashes or backslashes. It does not. It doesn't like that at all. So that you can use dashes though. That's no problem. But I grew up in computer lands, so I don't. I can read dates without dashes in them. But you cannot. You can't do forward slashes or backslashes. So we're going to save that. Save. Okay. See, there it is right there. Now we're going to click on it. And we're going to go over to the control tab. We're going to overwrite the generator. We're going to put it in generator 3. And voila, we're going to start it. And it's going to click around. I'm going to talk about why it's doing all these frequencies a bunch of time when we do the shell. The shell is what told it to do this, by the way. The shell told it to do it. It's actually going to run each one of these frequencies for 1 second each, and it's going to run each one for 20 times. We'll talk about that when I get to the shell. So that's what it's going to do. And I like it again because I can say, no, stop. I've decided I wanted to add some other back stuff in there. So, no, not back. Maybe I want to put some back muscles, some couple back pains in here, maybe some spasms. No, so we're up to 25 minutes. Now, my rule of thumb for this, which I'll talk about in a minute, I really don't like to have more than, I will do this long. For this sort of stuff, I wouldn't put more than 30 minutes worth of stuff in. I mean, it's a lot of frequencies, and this would really take a long time if you weren't using my preset. And the Stephanie Ah method would take a lot less time because she only spends 1 second, I think, per frequency. But I'm actually spending, I'm spending 1 second per frequency, but I'm doing each one 20 times. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, so I've added some stuff to it. Back to presets, save it again. And maybe I'm going to do, I'll click on this, but this time I'm going to call it, maybe I'll call it A in the date. Because I made a change to it. But that's the advantage of doing presets. You can change it. You can delete things out of it. It's no problem. You can sort of do it with the programs, but it's a pain. All right. So, I mean, we've been doing this for just a few minutes and voila. I mean, we're already cooking the gas here. I mean, it only takes a couple minutes. Overwrite, click on there, start. It only takes a couple minutes to create the preset. And then you go away, eat some dinner, relax for a little while, come back. In this case, this one is around for 25 minutes. I would prefer to run this for 50 minutes, but I'll tell you, if I had really bad back pain, as soon as it got through the whole set at 25 minutes, I'd be getting a sticker and sticking it on wherever it's hurt. That's what I would do. I'd still let the rest of them run for 2 hours, and 2 hours just seems to be the number that I'm most comfortable with. I like 2 hours. Because I want to make sure the frequencies are hard in there. That's the plan. All right. So now let's go back to share presentation. Okay. So you should be seeing my presentation again. So we've created that, and you saw it's really easy to do. And I mean, I'm really in my office that I'm in now, my den. Because I don't do this commercially. I don't have patients. I don't do any of that stuff. I actually have 15 XM generators here, and that's because I do have some relatives that I'm treating remotely, and I need some serious stuff for that. I always have 3 or 4 going for my wife, and I usually have at least 4 that I'm doing stickers on, and that's just the way I operate. And so that's one of those deals that if you've been around for a while, you can't have too many generators. And if you're going to buy more generators, buy blue generators because they're $166 for a remote kit, as opposed to $700, I think, for the GX. I do have 2 GXs, and those are the ones that I use for biofeedback and contact mode and all that sort of stuff. in here, in my den, this is pretty much remote and stickers. Okay, so let's move on from here. Now, where did I get the sticker shell? Okay, I made it, and so can you. So, how do you create it? Well, and I've done this presentation before for other people, and I actually, here, you can download mine. But I decided it's really not that hard to do yourself, so I've documented in here. All we have to do is we're going to load the shell, base shell, and I'm going to use the Spooky Coil Generator Direct preset because I like the waveforms I already have. Then I'm going to go to the Programs tab, and we're going to demo all this in a minute. And I'm going to repeat each frequency 20 to 20 times. Why 20? Well, I'm a big fan of David Halliday. And hopefully you know who that is. And David had he was playing with stickers as well. And he has this example of if you're trying to, you have this great big boulder and you want to break it up, you could use a huge sledgehammer and hit it a bunch of times with that. But what you also could do, and it's actually much easier, you could have a small hammer and you could tink away at it. Tink, 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 tink. And you'll accomplish the same thing and probably do it a better job, and it'd be easier on you. So that's why it's repeated at 20 rather than each frequency for 3 minutes or even 20 minutes or 20 seconds or whatever it is. I have it set. It's going to hit each frequency for 1 second, and then it's going to do it 19 more times. So I hit it for 20 times at 1 second apiece. That's sort of what he recommended. He was using a little different timing, but that's essentially what he was doing. Then I set the programs in the programs tab. I set repeat chain to 0 because I want it to run forever or until I shut it off. I set the dwell multiplier. That's how you take the 180-second default with most frequencies and you get it down to 1 second. That's what dwell multiplier does, and we'll look at that again when we get to actually in the demo in the program. So I also remove duplicate frequencies. So there's no point in having, I'm not worried about order. I'm not worried about, oh, I need to do this frequency again over here. There's no point. The frequency's already in there or it's not. So I remove duplicate frequencies. Sometimes, and I don't know why, the apply inhibit factor and tissue factor are turned on, turn those off. We're doing sine wave stuff. We should not have a problem with that. And then the settings tab, because they changed that, you have to, and they actually did change it in this preset. You have to set the offset of both out1 and out2 to 0. We're going to go through all that in a minute. And then again, I save it, and that's where I got the shell sticker preset that we already used. So let's go through this. So here, we're going to load the Spooky Coil Generator App. This is the presets tab. Simple enough to do. Then we're going to go to the into the programs tab, and we're going to set the repeat each to 20, the repeat chain to 0, the dwell multiplier to 00555, and we're going to turn this on and turn these off, which is exactly what I talked about in a minute. When we do this live, I'll give you a few pointers on it, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to set these to those exact values. Then we're going to the settings tab. We're going to set the offset to 0. Right now it's at -100 for some reason. I don't know why, and it didn't used to be that way. A few releases ago, it set at 0. I don't know why they changed it. They don't tell us that. Okay, and I make sure, even though this is the default, the waveform is sine wave and the inverse is on. Now, by the way, from David Halliday says, look, you want to use a sine wave because that's the purest form of the frequency. When you use square waves or universal H-bomb or any of that stuff, it creates a lot of harmonics. That's purpose of life. We're just trying to do the pure frequencies. That's what we're trying to do. I want to put all my power into creating the pure frequency and not worry about all these harmonics. What's a harmonic? Sorry, a harmonic because this is spooky for beginners. So if I have a frequency of 100, okay, a harmonic of that is 200 and 400 and 800 and 1600, and generally people think in terms of about 4 or 5 of those. That's a harmonic. You can also do a subharmonic of 100. That would be 50, then 25, 12 and a half. That's going the other direction. So anyway, I don't care about harmonics. I want to put all the power into the actual frequency. That's why we're using the sine wave. And here the offset has to do with like Hulda Clark did some offset stuff where she only did positive or negative, and I don't remember which, but offset does that sort of stuff. We turned it to 0. That way, we're going to put a full 40 volts because it's 20 out of the out one, 20 out of the out two, and they add them together. So you end up with 40 volts of amplitude that we're going to pump into the remote to put frequencies into the stickers. Hopefully that made sense. All right, so now we go back to the presets tab and we're going to save it. Remember, I talked about that. I save everything. And I'm going to go in here. I hit save. Now, one of the things you can do, and I'd recommend you do this, before you save it, you can actually change. You can take out whatever notes there. You can put whatever notes you want into it that you need to remind yourself how to use it. Whatever you want to do. Actually, in my sticker show, which I can't show you at the moment, the one I use, I have a whole bunch of, I have all the steps in there of how to do everything we've talked about in here. But I got too lazy to type it all in there. But you can put anything you want in there. I recommend you put something in here so it makes sense of what it is. I'm going to save it as shell sticker RS. Again, that's remote sticker. And that's it. And it'll be saved. Then you can use it. And we've already used some of those. Okay. So let's talk about how we do this. Share. And so again, what we did, we started at presets, home, and we're going to do shell empty presets. And we're going to use coil. And we're using the Spooky Coil Generator Direct by John White. Then we go into programs. And we're going to change this to 20. Now, I clicked in here and I'm going to backspace, so it has nothing. Then I tap on 20. Now, it's really important. Anytime you change any of this stuff on these, and not everybody knows this, you need to get out of that field. Now, we can by clicking on something else. What I always recommend, and what I do once I type in it, I hit the tab key on the keyboard, which is the one right to the left of the Q key, if you have a QWERTY keyboard. And that takes me somewhere else, but it saves that. If you don't do that, it doesn't save the change. We just had somebody in Facebook ask me, well, I did this, it didn't work. That's because you didn't get to somewhere else. I'm going to each frequency 20. Let's say I have a repeat chain of 0. It's already there. The dwell multiplier, again, click there, 0.00555. That says 1 second each. Again, tab out of there. I think that's out of the way. And then I said I want to remove duplicate frequencies. I want to uncheck these. And that takes care of the Programs tab. But still, in the Settings tab, I need to change the offset. So it's 100. It's going to be 0. And then I can do a tab, and it went over there anyway. And 0. And I tab out of that as well, and it remembers it. So now I have all the settings I need from my sticker shell. Let's go back to presets and do a save, as I always do. And this is shell, and you can call it anything you want, but you have to be able to find it later. Sticker. New. And notice I'm not using dates on this sort of stuff. I'm not too worried about that. I worry about the stickers themselves, not the shell. And so now, if we go back here, there it is. I forgot the RS. Oh well. So if I could use either one of these, and they're the same thing at this point. Again, to use it, I just click on it, go to Programs, add anything I want, and voila, and then save it and run it. It's that simple, and it is that simple. You'll be making stickers like mad. At least I find I do all the time. My wife is going to lunch with her friends tomorrow. I've got to make some stickers. I got to make some hot feet stickers, some hot flash stickers, and some wrestle flags for her to take to give to her friends. Let's see. So let's go back to my presentation. Okay, back to the presentation. Now, so we did the demonstration of that. Now, how do you get the stickers? Well, it's easy. I get mine from Amazon. I do literally a search on Hibisc, or whatever that is supposed to be, 1,000-piece hologram silver labels. They're the 1-inch variety. That's what I use. And they fit directly into your remote. You can get them on Temu as well. They're actually less money. But they're not called that. They're 1,000 pieces, roll, 1-inch plain laser film decorative stickers. Now, remember I told you could do this tonight, if you remember. And so, how would you do that tonight? If you have to order this stuff from Amazon, well, let me show you how you're going to do this tonight. Let me switch my camera. Actually, I don't have to. So let me show you this. most of us lately got these nifty stickers from let's see if we can see them, from Spooky that came with it. And they're really nice holographic stickers. And you can use them. They're a little thicker than the ones that came from Amazon. However, they're not 1-inch stickers. They're like 1 1/4. So you actually need to cut them down a little to fit them into the remote. So I don't know why they included them. I kind of thought though you could imprint them, but if you want to imprint them, you have to cut them down to 1 inch so they'll fit inside the remote, and the remote closes all the way. But if you have them, you can start, tonight and start making stickers and see how they work out. So, and I'd recommend. I mean, there's no reason not to. And frankly, especially for you guys on the East Coast, I know it's going to be what no, it'll be 11 by the time we get done. It'll only take you, the first time. It's going to take you 30 minutes to set it up. So I saw that from Terry. They may not stick very well. We'll talk about that as well. Anyway, so back to this. They're better than nothing. I want you to, if you, the sooner you use this information, the more you'll remember it. So that's why I really might recommend you start immediately. Okay, so now common questions. I saw I get that. All right. So how long do they last? That's the first question almost everybody asks. Well, theoretically, they last forever if stored correctly. What's stored correctly? Out of sunlight, away from magnets. In my opinion, they're good for a month or two. That's what I've generally found. Again, I have a friend who it was a week and then he had to redo them or whatever. But for most people, it's more like weeks. All right. How long do they last? Well, they can last a week, generally until the silver surface starts to wear off. Mine tend to fall in a few days. I shower in them and all that. It's usually when they do fall off, but not after the first day of showering. Um, it's not that big of a deal, and I think I have something in the next screen about what to do, make them longer. So how long does it take to make them? Well, you saw, I mean, it's minutes to a few hours depending on my frequencies. I prefer to leave mine in for 2+ hours, but I'll use them after 2 passes through the list of frequencies. How many stickers do I imprint at the same time in a remote? I only do 4. I've done more. When I first started, I was doing 8 or 6, or I don't remember how I was doing. And some people put a whole bunch in. I like 4. It likes me, so that's what I do. So I thought I had something else in there. Oh, it must be in that page. Anyway, so how many frequencies? You can do 30 minutes worth of stuff or more if you want to, but don't go wild on this. I mean, I was helping somebody the other day who put, with my stuff, it's still running 2.5 hours. That's too long. In 2 hours, I'd like to get through the list of frequencies at least 4 times. That's 30 minutes, or 6 times if it was a 20 minutes worth of stuff I put in. And more is better. That's the way I see it. And you get to the point of diminishing return, and that was an interesting issue with Stephanie. Is Stephanie was at odds with some of the people who were first doing and printing stickers. Their view is if you put more than 8 in, it was counterproductive because they erased each other or whatever was happening. I don't know, but that was their view. But Stephanie experimented with a lot more than that and found that works really well. Also and I don't remember what Stephanie was actually using for the shell. It's been a long time since I've read her stuff, but if you use normal remote shells, those only running at like 4 or 5 volts. That's the normal ones. Ours, because I'm using the coils of base, it's running at 20 volts on out 1 and 20 volts on out 2. So I'm doing 40 volts across the remote. So it's a much higher amplitude. So I think it does a better job. But again, I mean, if you put in 1,000 frequencies, are they really on there, or did you end up erasing some of them? So I prefer to stay less than 20 minutes, except in exceptional cases. I think my pain one is about 28 or something like that. So I tend to, but most of the stickers are less than 5 minutes. I mean, if you want to do one for headaches or migraines, whatever, you can do that in 5 minutes. I mean, it's not a problem. How many stickers can I use at the same time? As many as you want to. You can't, you can cover your whole body and that. You can use as many as you want. Keep in mind, I use them for localized treatment. I rarely use more than one at a time for the same treatment. Having said that, there's been lots of times I'll have 3 different ones on because I'm working on 3 different problems. Where do you put them? I put them on the area that I'm treating. That's again why I think they work for me better than remote, because remote is setting these frequencies to every cell in my body. I've got these stickers which probably have less power in them than what I get in the remote, but they're right over the spot that I'm trying to treat. That's why I like it. Okay, yeah. Multiple ones. Yep, I can do that. Put a sticker for each issue and stick them on the area to be treated. A couple of years ago, I had a sinus infection on both sides, and I actually created some sinus infection stickers, and I stuck it in my face, but I didn't go anywhere. And so I had stickers on there, and it worked really well. And then last year, I had another one, and it just didn't seem to work for me this time. Maybe it's a different type or whatever it was. And that one, I pulled out what I consider my bigger guns, which meant that was hunt and kill using a sample digitizer. Because if I have a sinus infection, everything coming out of my nose has the pathogens in it, and that took a couple days and kicked it right out. Okay, so back to this. So how do I attach them? I generally stick them to directly to my skin. Some people are allergic to the glue. So you can, if that's a problem, you can move them off a little ways. And you can also hold them on with Band-Aid. My neighbor next door who gets stickers from me, she'll wear them for a couple weeks, but she holds them on with Band-Aid or something because they won't stay on that long. Also, if you're allergic to the adhesive, you could put the shiny side down if you need to. You could actually put a piece of tape down first and then put this on top of the tape and maybe more tape to hold it on. If that's an issue for you, that's going to be close enough. It doesn't actually have to be touching your skin, but it should be right next to it. That's the way I see it. Can you erase and reuse the stickers? Theoretically, yes. But at $8 for 1,000, why would you? I mean, I just don't think it's worth it. So I don't ever reuse my stickers, ever. When they're done, they're done. Now, let me go back to this other one for a minute. One of the other things I did with stickers was for my mother-in-law. She had throat cancer, and she was getting conventional treatment, and she lives about 1,200 miles away from me, and I live in Mexico. So trying to get fingernails or any of that stuff is sort of challenging. And if you have something serious like cancer, you really should be using biofeedbacks and using the Cancer DB protocol, which, by the way, I'm doing a presentation on the beginning of September. Anyway, and it'll be a step-by-step like this one is. Anyway, so I was over there, and when I travel, I take at least one generator with me, and I always have my notebook computer with me. So I decided to make her some stickers. So I went and there was one program for radiation burns. If you've never had throat cancer and never knew anybody with throat cancer, the treatment is really ugly. So it was chemotherapy and radiation. And so radiation, they do, here on your throat, wherever it is. And when they get done with you after your 5 weeks, whatever, your esophagus literally has 3rd-degree burns in it, up and down. You can imagine how painful that is. So she'd finally had her last treatment, and she was on some serious tramadol and all that for the pain because it was really bothering her. So I talked to her about that, and she said, well, there's this. So I went back to where we were staying. I made some stickers that night. I took them back to her the next morning, gave her the same spiel. Look, I want to know, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I just want to know if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We could maybe try someone else, but let's try this. It does not cost her any money. It's really easy to do. So I made the stickers. Now, she couldn't put it over where she'd been treated. So she put it down a little bit. So it doesn't have to be exactly over it. Don't worry about that. That's the reason I'm telling the story. She put it on there, and she said it felt a little better that night, after a few hours of it on. And then the next morning, she didn't have to take the pain stuff anymore at all. I mean, that's an amazing, I like the story. I know it works because of stories like that. My friend with the cyst and that sort of thing, and the stuff I've done on my my plantar fasciitis and my wife's as well. So I know it works. So that takes care of those common questions. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap this up. I talked longer than I thought I would. Okay, so number one, if you want to learn about stickers, and I did this, I searched in Spooky Rife for Life Facebook group for holographic stickers. I'm not particularly enamored with Facebook searches, but they work. but you get a lot of other things. It's a lot to go around. So there's a ooh. Ah, there's the imprinting. I actually have the fast original method. That's the Stephanie Ah method. And I don't think I can include that because I'm not the author of it, but I can send you a copy if you'll email me if you want to read about it. And this is based on some of the work she did. Again, it's different than what she does because I have a different view of that. But that I learned a lot from reading that. And there are a number of I watched a number of YouTube videos that were very good. I learned a lot from. I didn't necessarily agree with them, but that's one of the I learn. I learn about everything, and then I sort it out myself. That's what I prefer. There's a blog on doing this at Spooky 2 on holographic stickers. It's pretty good. There's some good videos on YouTube that talk about imprinting anything. Remember, all I talk about is holographic stickers. My purpose in life, literally, for this one, was to get you to the point that when we shut this down, you can go make the stickers. We've talked about everything to do this. And hopefully that's made sense to you. And there's lots of other YouTube videos that are worth. Okay, so what did we learn today? We did a demo of actually creating a sticker with the software. We talked about preparing the stickers, how to create the shelves preset, and how to create a custom sticker preset. That just means you create a sticker preset and you saved it. That's what a custom preset is. I do one-on-one training if you need some help with things, and I do everything from unboxing to initial setup. I mean, literally. I just did a central one, I think, and it was here. Go find this coaxial cable and hook it from here to here. So I can do that at that level if that's what you need. Whatever. I don't do remote treatments for others, and I don't really give practitioner advice. I can help you to find applicable programs and treatment methods in your Spooky 2 group. And I basically I work on a donation basis based on your value provided in your financial situation. If you need help and can't afford to pay me, I understand. That's not a problem. I want you to be able to use it. What I find is most people will give me a donation because they find value in what I did. You can email me with any questions or set up a session, spookytechhelp@gmail.com. Obviously, I am a certified Spooky 2 trainer since I've been doing this, and I've been doing the one-on-ones for over a year now, and I do a number of them a month. Too many if you really want to know. Okay. Again, copy of the presentation. It'll be available at Spooky 2 Academy, or you can send me an email and I will respond to you within 24 hours. That's not a problem. And you're going to get a thing for a survey. Again, it really helps for you to do those surveys. It helps the Spooky 2 group figure out who's a good presenter and who's not. I know I have my shortcomings, but people like my style because I make things simple. Okay. Here's some more training resources for you. The Spooky 2 Life for Life Facebook group. I really like it. I have a YouTube channel that's for Spooky Tech Help where I've got a bunch of videos. I got videos on how to install the software, how to install your drivers, how to create a preset, all that sort of stuff. And most of these are short little 5-minute or less videos. And I have PDF files of all my presentations and worksheets. You can email me if you want to see that stuff. Spooky 2 has a bunch of stuff. The user's guide, which I really like. And when you're in Spooky and you click on the help pull down, that's where you'll find the user's guide. It's the reference guide when you're trying to figure out how to do stuff. Somebody wanted to set up something today, I think is when they asked about this. They wanted to run something between 9 p.m. and midnight, and that's all. And yes, you can do that. It's in the settings. Yeah, it's in the settings tab, and I referred it to the page in the user's guide where to find it. So that stuff is in there, and of course it's a PDF, so you can search on stuff. Vimeo.com/spooky2 is actually where all the official videos are now kept. They used to keep them on YouTube, but that had its own set of problems. The Spooky 2 Academy events, that's where you're going to find the weekly events are posted for signups and where to watch the videos for the official sessions, which the video for this will be available in just a couple days. And finally, there is a Spooky 2 Life one, which is owned by Spooky 2. There's a lot of good videos there. However, and there's really good video. But the problem you run into is that some of those are older. That's why in yellow there, you need to review videos that are made within the last few years. When I got my scaler, the first thing I did is I went to YouTube. Okay, I want to get watch a video on how to plug this thing in and whatever. And so I found one. Hey, there was one by John White, and so I started watching that. And he got about a minute into it. He's showing his scalar receiver, and it didn't look like mine. And I looked, and it was 7 years old. It's like, no. So I found another one that was newer that actually looked like mine. So keep that in mind. The old ones are out there. So I hope you found this session useful. The video will be available in a few days. You can email with me with topics that you'd like to see me cover officially for Spooky. I know in September I'm doing one on the Cancer DB protocol on how to run it, and I submitted something for October, but I don't remember what it is. So I can't tell you what that is, but that's going to be done. So the next one I have open to be Marley November. Okay, Q&A. Always fun. Let me go to the Q&A if I can find it. Q&A. There we go. I've got 36 in there now. I'm sorry I don't do real-time questions, but it just doesn't work for me. Okay, can I imprint quartz stones? You bet. You can imprint those. A lot of people do crystals. Unless if they're not really small, they're not going to fit in the remote, in which case you could use something else like the PEMF coil, which I really like. As a matter of fact, that's the only other thing I do these days. I have a paint oil that I do on the PEMF coil. Takes 3 days to do, but it works really well. And I just put it in almond oil, or actually I'm using coconut oil at this point that I put it in. So yes, you can do that. I'd recommend the PEMF coil for that personally, but it's going to tie up your generator for 3 days or whatever. It just takes a while. Done. Okay. I'm wanting to know if I can imprint from one product to another. The answer to that is no. Well, there's a way to do it. You can actually copy a substance. Well, there's several ways to do it. You can do it with the scaler, because the scaler will imprint stuff. And you can also do it with the, what the heck's that thing called? Hang on. Let me look at my stuff. I'll be back to you. You can do that with the radionics. That's a different device that you have to get from somebody else. But you can do it with the radionics. Okay. So whoops, wrong one. All right. So you can do it with the radionics, it'll let you copy stuff. But that's beyond the scope of this presentation. But they actually have some YouTube videos on it. And they're not super expensive. I'm wanting to know if I can imprint. Oh, I answered that. How to imprint iodine 27 as a base sample. Unless it's in the software, I don't think it is. Iodine. 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 There's some iodine stuff in the molecular weight. I don't know if iodine 27 is in. Let me show you the screen. We'll probably be doing this a lot. So all I did here is I did a search on iodine, and there's a bunch of stuff in there, but I don't know whether the one you're looking for is in there. If you want to copy stuff, you're going to need the radionics or the scaler to do that. Okay. Is it okay to imprint stones that fit in the remote? Yes, I would. If it'll fit there, it really should close completely, but it's not absolutely necessary, in my opinion. But it shouldn't be really far open. Is it better to use water with the wrist laser for better potency? I've used the cold laser to imprint before, and I was not happy with the results. That doesn't mean it won't work. It just didn't work all that well for me. I mean, I've done it with the cold laser. I've actually done it, and we still do it with my radionics. My wife has water on it all the time. I don't know how well it works because it's pretty subtle, but we like it since we have it. So that's what we do. Most of 99% of my imprinting is done with holographic stickers. And then I do a little bit with this coconut oil for paint oil, which works really well. I learned that from Brad Johnson, and I'm very happy with that. But that's done on the PEMF coil. So that's the best I can do for you on that one. Okay, Janine. Do you find colloidal silver holds frequency better than distilled water when imprinting? You do. You can use a small amount of quartz crystals in the printing. been doing gem waters for 20 years and find it works with spooky. And yes, I know you can do that. I'm not sure how you're doing the printing. There's several ways to do it, but yes, I know a lot of people do that. I did some water for a while where I had some holographic, I did some holographic sequence. I threw it in there, but then I was worried about drinking it. But one of the other things I have done, and I do it every now and then with my wife's water bottles, is I will imprint the sticker and stick that on the outside and then put the water on my radionics. And with the idea that the sticker will help keep the frequencies active in there. So you might try that as well. Denise, only shiny down side down. What happens when the other side up? Can you reuse the sticker? Okay, first thing is reuse the sticker. I kind of pointed that out. Yes, you can reuse them. I don't see any reason to. For $1,000 for $8. The only time I've ever used them is if I made some and didn't do anything with them for several months. I could stick those back in. I usually don't because it's harder for me to go find them and do that. That I was cleaning off my desk today, found some that I made 3 or 4 months ago. I don't know what was in them. I didn't care. I just threw them away because, like I said, $8 for 1,000. So the other one, shiny side down. What happens to the other side up? Okay. So if you do shiny side up, you can do that because theoretically the remote is the remote that is creating, as I understand it, sort of a mini scalar feed in there, and that's how it imprints. But I look at things because I'm a techie, an electronics techie. I look at things from a videotape point of view, from a magnetic tape point of view. And so what happens is on the top of the little clamshell, there's a magnet. It's a reflective surface in there. The actual power is on the bottom. That's why I put the shipping side down. I figure that's closer to the actual power coming in. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's the logic I did, and that's what I do every time. So would it work if you do up? Yeah, it probably would. If you've already done some with up, then that's fine. Try them out. But I always do shiny side down. Next. Mary, Mary, do you know whether it's 3 or 4 or 5? Huh? How do you know whether to choose 3, 4, or 5 under overwrite generator? Oh, um, I know what you're talking about. So you should be seeing this at the moment. Yes. So what you're asking, so in this, actually, this is a test mode. How would I use 3, 4, or 5? Well, each of these is going to have a remote in it. And so if I put my stickers to be imprinted in generator 3, that's what I use where I do it. These are your physical generators. And so for me, I've got a bunch of generators actually. Hang on a second. Let me go into this and office. Let's go. And let me show you what this looks like. Share. Come on, buddy. This video. This is my office computer. Move this out of the way. So these are all the things in my office. And by the way, the reason that they're done like this is because I have 2 shelves. This is the top shelf and the 2 shelves under it, and it goes over here, and these are the others. So I actually use these numbers to help me so I didn't get so confused. I mean, I have a bunch of other ways I do that. But anyway, so this is currently doing, yeah, I'm doing, what is this for? Oh, this is my shoulder pain one. I had this problem with my shoulder, and so I created some stickers, and there we are. So you choose whatever generator you're going to use for your stickers. It doesn't matter what they are. It can be silver, it can be blue. You just have to have a remote on it. Okay, all right, next. So hang on a second. I keep hearing noise. I'll be right back. Sorry, I need to put you guys on hold for just a second because I don't know what that is. And I live sort of in the middle of nowhere. Hang on. What else putting my videos off? Okay, I'll be right back. What? I'm sorry for that. Apologize. But we Every now and then we have a possum that shows up in the house. And so, but it's probably the stray cats this time. I'm gonna turn back on. Okay, there we go. Right. So we're doing that. Let me go back to my other screen. Sorry for the interruption. I really do apologize. That's this one. Okay, back to my test system. Okay, so that took care of you. Okay, does the magnet rubbing apply to all kinds of stickers? Well, for stickers to work, they have to be holographic. Because the hologram, the metal in them, is what you're actually imprinting. So if you just have white paper ones, you can't imprint those. That doesn't work. So that's the way I see that. Okay. So that's what you're trying to do. So anything that you are going to imprint, it's nice to erase it first. Gracie, how do you create the sticker shell under user? Oh, anytime you save a preset, it goes into user. That's where it goes. So you click on save here in, let's see, in presets. You click on here, this little kind, it's always going to save it in the user directory. Now you can create subdirectories under that if you choose to, but and you can do that when you do the save, which I have done several times. You click on that and you say new folder, and this is going to be stickers or whatever I want to call it. So now when I go to save, see now there's this, at least there's supposed to be, user. See, I've got, this is now a folder, so I could save in there if I wanted to. So, but that's how you do it. It's when you click on this little save guy, it goes in the user folder or a subfolder under that. My user does not have shell sticker. That's because you didn't create it. That was part of the, that was the second part of here of how to create shell sticker. So you need to go through that and create it yourself. That's what you're going to have to do. Hopefully you paid attention for that. If you don't want to wait for it to be available, if you send me an email, I'll stay up another hour after this and try to send those out if you want to go do it tonight. So, but it's all in the presentation. Let's see. Where's the date? Did you save to your local drive? Yes, I always save. You have to save. Well, you have to save your local drive. That is. I keep hearing this noise. I'm sorry. You have to save your local. Well, you don't have to. You have to save wherever you installed Spooky 2. That's where it goes because it's actually in C Spooky 2. Actually, I can show you. It's actually, if you look here, it's in C Spooky 2 up here, preset collections user, and whatever you name it. It always saves in user in this wherever you save it. So if you would put this on your D drive, which is where you installed, it'd be on the D drive. And but you don't have to do that. It's going to default to there. And so yes, it should be your local drive because you don't have it's going to be wherever you installed Spooky 2. That's where it goes. Monica, is the dwell multiplier important? Yes. I'm just going to explain details, which numbers to use. Okay. So if we go back to programs, the dwell multiplier, normally when you add frequencies like this one here, whatever this is, because I'm not going to try to pronounce it, it runs for 3 minutes. And that's because it probably has only one frequency in it. The default for Spookies is to run for 180 seconds. That's what the default is. It can be different, but usually is not. Any of these things, like all these molecular weights for 3 minutes, that's because it's a single frequency that runs for 3 minutes or 180 seconds. So what happens is the dwell multiplier, they say whatever dwell this is, which is 180, if you multiply that by 0.00555, it becomes 1 second from the 180. So if it was double this, I mean, if I had it as 0.1 instead of being 180 seconds, it'd be 18 seconds. I hope that makes sense to you. I think that'll give you. But the numbers I always use because I set it up in my shell. Here it is at 0.00555. That's what I'm running. By the way, if somebody wants me to go through how to create the shell again, I can do that. I'm not sure I want to do it in line. I want to answer a bunch of questions first because we've gone through it a couple times in the presentation. Okay, Sally, do you rub a magnet over the spooky stickers also? Yes, I would run the magnet over whatever. I mean, is it absolutely important and you have to do it? If I don't have a magnet, I'd use it and I'd go on without it. But like I said, I'll use any magnet. I've used refrigerator magnets because I was in Phoenix visiting relatives, and that's what I had at the time. So I would, if you can, and crystals and stuff, you're actually supposed to put them out in the sun or moonlight or something like that for a day or two to erase them because they can. Any of these things can pick up frequencies from whatever. And so you get these things from Amazon. I don't know what they've been near. That's why you're erasing. That's the intent of this. And that's true with crystals and everything else. Colleen, how do I create the remote shell sticker heading? Remote shell sticker heading. Well, actually, I covered that a second ago. I mean, if you want a sticker heading, when you save it, you can create a new folder and then save it in there. Otherwise, these things that don't have the greater than sign, yeah, greater than sign, this is a folder. Without that, this is an actual preset. I hope that answers your question. Uh, Birdie, answer live. How do you remove the individual programs from a generator to create room for others? That's a really good basic question. I'll show you. So here we are in control. What happens is, let me stop this guy. Actually, this is a generator signal test, which is fine. So that's what's loaded in this right now. So what happens is, that's what overwrite generator is. I don't care what's in generator 4 at the moment because I'm not running it. It's just sitting there doing nothing. As soon as I load something else, let's load something else here. And miscellaneous. We'll do probably Jack. Who cares? As soon as I load something into it, you don't have to make room. It just overwrites it. There's nothing to make room for. You don't need to delete anything from presets. Now, if you're trying to do offline mode in the with the generator X, you need to ask that question, and we'll get to that later, even though it's well outside what we're doing. But you don't need to remove anything here. You just overwrite it and put it in. You never need to erase anything. All this erase stuff, see this erase up here? You can click on that and it somewhat wipes out. The reason these things exist is because about probably 9 or 10 years ago, there were no presets. You had to actually program everything yourself. So you had to you had to clear everything out before you did that. But when they actually put in presets, you don't need this stuff anymore. Any of this stuff you have to clear. You don't need to do that. As soon as you load something into the generator or load a preset, it wipes everything out. Because I'll go back to here. So let's see. Yeah. So here we are in cold laser ag. See, this is what's in it. If I go load kaleidoscope generation, it wipes out whatever's there. You don't need to delete anything. I hope that makes sense. My time. How many programs can we add to a sticker? Well, what I would do is I tend to base it on numbers. You know, I tend to keep it under 20 minutes worth, but I will go longer if I really need to. But I wouldn't go. I don't think you should go more than 30 minutes. And again, you should only be treating one sort of thing. If I have knee pain and I have maybe I have a shoulder pain as well, I'll make a sticker for the knee pain and one for the shoulder pain. I don't try to put everything in one sticker. I don't think that's productive at all because again, I am treating a localized area, and so if I want to treat my wrist, I need a sticker on the wrist. Sheila, I'd like to work on facial toning. Would it work to imprint stickers and apply them on my product? Yes, you can certainly do that. Yes, uh, applying a sticker seems less efficient. I would agree with that. What I would do actually with that is I would take the product in maybe a smaller container of it, and I'd set it on the PEMF coil and run it for 3 days and just imprint the stuff inside. And if you want to keep it boosted up, you could put a sticker on the outside of it. But and we've done some of that, but I just don't have enough experience to say, yep, it works on all that. It certainly works on my coconut oil, where I use a PEMF coil and put frequencies in it, and it's just coconut oil, but it does an amazing job on a rub-in for pain. So that's what I would do if you're talking about you want to use your product. I'd imprint the product directly. In settings, is the inverse box checked or not? Good question. I think it is checked. Let's go look because I can't remember. this one in settings. And yes, it is. And which is really important because what happens is um, when you have the spooky boost, it actually combines the signal of out one and out two. This is out one and this is out two. Okay. And so, what happens is you run out twos in inverse because the boost is going to invert it again and add them together. If they were the same like this, I'll show you what happens. If they were the same like this, see, this is my output down here, as I remember. This one down here, get this out of the way so we can see it. So we have this and this. If I was using the same, it flatlined because it canceled itself out. So that's why the inverse is on. And then it gets combined correctly by the boost. Okay. Sheila. Also, I'd like to create a knee pain sticker for my mom. She has to stick it on her knee for it to work. Work if she keeps the back of the sticker on or holds it on Ziploc next to the knee. You conceivably could put it in a Ziploc next to the knee. I like it as close as possible to the area I'm treating. And you can certainly and yes, I have people that are using these things for months. What I would do if I had somebody who's coming on, I'd do 2 batches of 4. I'd mail them to her. I'd probably put it in some foil or better yet, an RFID bag and mail it to them. And then yes, I would. What I would do is to be honest, I would probably put it shiny side down. I'd still take the sticker out the back. I'd stick it to a Band-Aid or I'd do something, and I'd hold it on with some tape. That's what I would do. And then it'll last for weeks that way. My next door neighbor uses hers for weeks doing exactly that. Kelly, does the sticker only work on contact? Can it be placed on dog tags? Yes, you can do that. I think it needs to be next to the area you're trying to treat. Like I said, if you have a sore wrist, you want it on your wrist. You know, I wouldn't put it on my knee. Um, some people like to put them in, do I have any of those up here? They put them in holders. Let me turn this back on. Mhm. Well, if it ever comes back on, I've got some little these things, if you can see it, and they're actually clear plastic. They're just covered, and I've used those and like with a necklace and put stickers on them. I just don't find that as convenient. For one thing, if it's on my wrist, what good is that? I know some people that will put them on a card or whatever and carry them around, and that's supposed to work. It's never worked for me. I only like the contact version of this. So yeah, for pets though, when you talk about dog tags, for pets. It's what I do for pets is I stick them to the inside of the collar and get to them that way. And they're smaller, and so that works pretty well from what I understand. Leslie, can you use any sticker? Yes. You can use any sticker that's holographic. If you want those, yes, you can use that. There's multicolor ones. Yep. As long as they're holographic. Some of those stickers are just flat stickers with pictures on them. They have to be holographic. Otherwise, you can't print them. Carla, I was told I put copper dog tags in and print them in a remote. They stick out, so why do stickers have to be all the way in there? Well, this is a debatable issue. Um, I've I've seen posts where people will take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, of holographic paper, stick one corner in, and the claim is it does the whole thing. And maybe it does. I've never done that. There's a frozen water test, which doesn't seem to work for me, where they've done that. They've cut some off of the opposite corner, stick it to some water and freeze it, and they can see that the frequencies are in there. And that's an interesting idea, and that might work. And so I mean I can't say that it won't work. I don't do that. I like them inside the remote, and so I think it'll I think things will imprint better if the remote's closed. That doesn't mean they won't imprint. And by the way, if you put stuff on the PEMF coil, that's not even a closed surface. So I'm just telling you what I've read and what I do. That doesn't mean what you're doing or what other people are doing. That may work for them or work for everybody. I just tell you what I'm doing. Brenda, is there a printout for the setup? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that, Brenda. There will be, yes. Part of what we'll get, actually, the presentation will be available in a couple days, and if you email me even sooner than that, that has all the steps in it with screenshots. So you don't even have to watch the video. And I plan to do a step-by-step without screenshots in it, because it's a lot of work and makes a lot of pages. I'm planning on doing that as well. So, but it's not available at the moment. But like I said, if you email me tonight by tomorrow morning, I'd send you a copy of the presentation. Okay, Jillian, do they have to have direct sync contact? Well, yes, you can put them in the pocket. They don't have to have direct screen contact. Again, you can have an insulation if you want to. If you had a knee problem and you could use the hypoallergenic tape, you could put that on your knee and then put the sticker on top of that. I just like it as close as possible to the area you're gonna treat. Like I said, some people do whatever and stick it in their pocket and they say that works fine. That's never worked for me. I like to stick it directly on it or have it right there next to it. Cindy. Can you wear more than one sticker at a time? Yep, yes, you can. And I've done that. I actually, my shoulder was really hurting me and it was really bothering me, and I don't know what I did to it, but I did one and it wasn't enough. So I put one on the opposite side. And yes, it made a difference. So there are situations like that. And certainly if I have again, we'll go back to, if I was having a problem with my foot arch and I put a sticker down there, that doesn't stop me from putting something on my shoulder. It's just the shoulder would be for shoulder, and the one on my foot would be for my foot, for my plantar fasciitis, which works really well. Do you have a sticker imprint for kidneys and liver? The answer to that is no. For a sticker imprint for that, I would bring in the shell. I do a search for kidneys and liver. I add those things to it and create my own kidneys and liver, and then make the stickers and then stick them, stick them over the liver or over the kidneys or whatever you think where the best place to put them. So yes, you can do that. Now, keep in mind, for internal organs, I tend to prefer the remote, but that doesn't mean you can't use them both at the same time. And maybe you have a friend that has this, and so all you can do is stickers. Then do stickers. I'm one of these people who believes if this is what I got, use it. So that's what I would do for that. Literally, I'd load the sticker shell, find some kidneys and liver programs that look fun, and put those in and save it, and then run it. Jenny, let's see. Can you leave the sticker attached to the back sheet and just place it on the area in your sock or bra? Well, the programs would this programs last longer if the sticker's not wearing out? Well, yeah, I've worn stickers long enough to where the silver start wearing off of them. And when the silver part is what holds the frequency. So yeah, you don't want that going up. Again, if you can figure out a way to, if you're something is hurting in your foot, then you could put something in your sock, although that's not going to help much because it's going to rub it against your skin. But yeah, you can do that. You can hold it on any way you want. Okay, I need a good imprint for cat allergies and the flu that's ever changing. Hmm. Well, I don't do, like I said, I don't do explicit stuff. There's some really good allergy programs out there. Again, it's the same thing. You load the shell, find some cat allergies, and run that. I would probably run something for on the remote as well. Kirsten on Facebook has endocrine. That's what it is. She likes stuff. There's two things she really likes for allergies in general. It's endocrine and something else, but I can't remember what they are. If you do a thing for allergies, you do a search for allergies in the Facebook group, you'll find it because it's really common. The flu that's ever changing. I mean, that's an interest. It's ever changing. It's tough to pick a frequency for it. Um, but I'd be using stuff for improving my immune system to handle that. That's how I'd handle that one. Jan. So I put two stickers together, glue side to glue side, and use benzene. Would that be twice your strength? That's an interesting question. Um, I would think so. I don't think it'd be twice, but I think yes, it would be stronger if you did that. It's an interesting idea if you're going to do that. I don't, I haven't tried that, but it'd be interesting to see how that works. Generally, one sticker is enough for me, and I'm not allergic to the adhesive, and I don't get rashes from it, so I don't worry about it. Just sticking on what hurts. Monica, you use coil preset to create the imprint preset. When you do the imprint, no, it's in the remote. The reason I used the coil preset is it had most of the settings I wanted in it already, and so I only had to make a few changes to it. But but I've created it to use in the remote, and the remote can handle that. That's no problem. The remote one would need more. The remote shell would need more changes to do what I want. Is what it boils down to. It uses a different waveform and all that, and so that's the reason I use that one. But yes, what I created is specifically aimed at running in the remote. Jacques, where do you put stickers for high blood pressure treatment? Good question. I would tend to I'd put those center of chest. That's where I would tend to for high blood pressure, and try that out. There's a couple of things you could do for high blood pressure. You can try them on the inside of your wrist, because you're so close to the bloodstream there. I actually run remote for high blood pressure, and I've used the wrist cold laser for that as well. So those are definitely options when you're talking about blood stuff. Jill, before helping a friend, do I have to imprint a terrain? No. Here's the deal with terrain. Terrain is a detox. The reason you do a detox is because you want to make sure your system is cleaned out, your kidneys and liver and all that, because when you kill stuff, it lets toxins out and whatever, and so your filters in your system, meaning your kidneys and liver and all that, have to be in the best condition. So you run terrain first when you first start your spooky to clean out all that stuff, so when you're killing stuff, your body can do something with it. Generally, when you're doing healing, the healing is trying to improve things, and you're not generally releasing toxins and stuff. You can actually, if you're talking about general pain and you're not doing antibiotics, it's not pain caused by a pathogen. It's just, you've sprained something or whatever. Then you don't need to do terrain stuff for that. And you can't imprint terrain detox anyway. It's different because it's actually a whole series of things. Actually, there's 15 different presets in it to do different things, and it runs at a much higher power level in your system. And there's a bunch more frequencies and all that. That really needs to be done as a remote or in contact mode or that sort of stuff. So you really can't imprint a detox. That doesn't work. I'm sorry. Mary, sorry for my basic questions. No, that's why I'm doing this for basic. I really just must see my spooky machine in the mail today. Well, good. My advice to you is to get the software installed immediately, because you don't need the equipment to do that, and go look at the look at the user's guide. The part 1 is videos to help you set it up. Part 2 helps you do each of the things that you need to do, like terrain, and it has step-by-step videos to go with that as well. That's where I would start if I got a machine today. That's in the user's guide. And once you install the software, you click on help, and the user's guide's right there. Click on that and open up on a PDF. Ostina, answer my question. Thank you for your kind comments, Ostina. I try really hard to answer everybody's questions and do it at a level that people can understand. Newbie, oh yeah, thank you. This is anonymous. I'm a newbie to imprinting and try it very soon. I really like it. I've used it. It's the cat's meow in my opinion. I don't do everything with it, but I do almost everything with it. And I do have all the other equipment, and I use it for various things. Okay, on your sticker shell, why do you use the coil setting when using remote? As I stated, because it has most of the settings I want. You have to understand that the coil versus remote versus cold laser versus plasma, those shells are set up for, it's the same stuff. It's just like John White in his, actually, let me go in there. If we look at John White and then we look at shell empty presets, and then we'll say remote, and we'll look at his healing, John White. And then, so this is where we are. This is his remote shell. And it's doing, he changed this about a year ago. It's doing this inverse sawtooth is what it's doing. And it's doing 10 volts. That's funny. He's increased that. It didn't used to be 10 volts. Well, that's interesting. Anyway, so am I in the right one? Yep, I am. So, I mean, that's what he's doing. So essentially, there are some limitations. For instance, if you're using the Spooky Central, you shouldn't ever go more than 10 volts. If you're using the cold laser, you have to hook that directly to the out 1 or out 2, and it doesn't matter which one you hook it to. And so the presets set it up for optimal settings for whatever you're doing. Now, if you look, there's lots of things here in remote. Let's see what Milo's doing. Sorry, Manuel. See, Manuel's doing 20 volts, but he's using this sawtooth thing that looks like underneath there. It's using a sawtooth for that. So, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I started with this because it was the closest thing to what I wanted. It actually came with a sine wave and all that. That's the reason I started with it. So there's no big deal with that. It's just it's the way it works. So I customized it for what I want to do in the remote. So there isn't you can't do this in remote. You can actually do anything you want in remote. The other ones have more limitations. Answer lines. Okay. When creating stickers based on a BFB scan, from Jennifer Hughes, So somebody wants to know if they did a biofeedback and they want to do frequencies with it. Okay. And yes, you can do that. Keep in mind you're doing killing with that, but it doesn't make any difference. Do you have to run it on Genix Pro? I don't believe so. There's a few exceptions to that, but not very many. For the most part, you can run any of the programs in the Programs tab on a blue generator, an XM generator. The XM generator will only go to 5 megahertz, but they fake it out and they can get to 20 or 25 megahertz by faking it out. And that's what they do. On the other hand, the silver generator, the GX will go to 25 megahertz or 30 megahertz, depending which ad you look at, by itself, and they don't have to fake it out. But it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference in 99.99% of programs. So you can do it any way you want. And like I said, I virtually do all of my stickers on my blue generators, my XMs. Tracy, can this help with fib-tib fractures, breaks of any kind? The answer to that is yes. I've used it on fractures. Again, you need to get near the fracture, although I happen to like the PEMF coil for that, but of course you're hooked up to a machine then. And by the way, if you're using the PEMF coil, you have to be careful with stickers because it's using magnetism. Doing it around the stickers gets interesting. I'd be careful of that. But you can, and certainly with fractures, I'd be running remote as well. I like multi approaches when possible. I really like the PEMF for bone fractures. It goes in deep, and it really helps with that. And I use it on my fractured foot. I was using a combination of PEMF. Let's see, did I use the remote? No, I think I was just using PEMF was the main thing, and then I was using stickers on it as well when I wasn't using PEMF. And what happened was when I went in for my 3-week checkup and they X-rayed it again, the orthopedic surgeon couldn't find where it was broken. Still like it was broken, but he couldn't find it anymore. It healed that fast. And so I had other friends that broke similar bones and that hurt for the next year. Mine hurt for about 2 months, and that was it. So the recovery was really good. I like the PEMF coil for that. And yes, you can supplement with stickers, but if all you have is making stickers, use it. What is a radionics? Oh, that's a good question. Do I really want to go there? Radionics is actually, let me go there. Radionics is a companion product. Let's see if I can find it. And this is Radionics right here. So Radionics can do interesting things. They do manifestation stuff, which I know nothing about. It's a box you can buy from somebody in Radionics. Who are they? I don't know. If you do a search on them or you send me an email, I can give you a link to it. And there's also a very nice YouTube video on how to do copying and that sort of stuff. And it's a company in the UK. It's a reasonably priced thing. It costs a couple $100, as I remember, and they'll ship it to the United States. So that's what Radionics. When imprinting stickers, do you use molecular weight? You can. Obviously, if you use a molecular weight, you have to create a program for that, or you can use anything from the molecular weight database. I am not convinced that it does a great job of that because there's such high frequencies. But actually, in my pain oil that I have, which I'm imprinting using a PEMF coil, I've got some ibuprofen and some tramadol in there, and then I have a whole ton of pain frequencies as well. So I don't know how well it'll work for you, but you can certainly do that. So you can use the molecular weight presets, programs that are in the software, or you can, if you know the molecular weight, you can create a program using the software for that one. I'll call it cold laser and PEMF. Well, that's not much of a question because that's all it says. Janine, cold laser and PEMF. Well, the cold laser is, I mean, that's usually you'd use the cold laser twin, or you can use the wrist. If you're using the wrist one, you'd wrap it around the bottle of whatever you're doing. Um, or you could put stickers on it, I suppose. I've never used cold laser with stickers. Stickers tend to work so well in the remote, that's what I use. It's gonna tie up the generator anyway. I've used the cold laser to imprint liquids, where I've put the laser in the top of the bottle or the wrist around the bottle and that sort of stuff to imprint stuff that way. But right now, for all my liquid stuff, I'm using the PEMF coil. So hopefully that answered it. Why rub stickers together with mag? Well, the intent is to erase any existing frequencies that are on it that they may have picked up. Maybe they're around somebody who hated the job at Amazon or whatever, and they could pick up some of those frequencies subtly. So the intent is to erase them. And that's the reason people erase crystals as well. For the same reason, they can pick up other things. I've read, I don't know much about crystals, but I've read a little bit about crystals, and the recommendation with crystals, even when you buy them in the store, is you need to bring them home and erase them somehow, like put them in the sunlight or the moonlight or however that works to erase them. So you really should erase anything that you're going to use for imprinting. Jan, what's the best machine to imprint or anything for rheumatoid arthritis joints? Very painful, difficult to move. Best machine. Well, I mean, number one, I'd certainly be using the remote 24/7 with the rheumatoid arthritis stuff in it in general, and that'll go through your whole body. I would, the best is relative because it depends what works with you. I like the PEMF coil for pain stuff. It has a pretty good depth. It'll go in 4 or 5 inches through your skin. So that's a plus for it. So I would definitely be trying to use that for treatments. If you only have one generator, what I'd be doing is I'd be running the PEMF coil, and when I wasn't running the PEMF coil, I'd be running remote for the same frequencies. That's one way is to multiplex your remotes and your generators. Certainly, I would be doing stickers for that. I like localized treatment stickers, so I would do that. The cold laser you can use. Cold laser is good on pain, but the problem with cold laser is the penetration is very shallow. It only goes through a few layers of skin, and that's about it. And so if you're using it, like, you can get to your blood on your wrist because it's really thin there. If you're talking about trying to get to your liver, it's not going to get in there. So that be the general recommendations I have for that. I hope that helps, Jan. Stan, how far away should I keep magnets and cell phones away from the students? Well, I mean, I think as long as the magnets are a few inches away, I don't worry about it, unless you're working in a microwave with a magnetron in it, because those are really powerful magnets. Cell phones, cell phones are debatable. I definitely would keep it. I think 6 inches is plenty, frankly. I don't think that they'll erase them. It'll make that much difference. That's what I do. I'd be in the 6 inch category for both. Tracy, suggest for a specific search for back pain. Suggestions for specific search wording for back pain. Well, the first thing I do is back pain. L3 brake, titanium plates and screws. Don't worry about the plates and screws. They don't matter. Also, can the selected thrones for back be accompanied with foot pain programs? Yeah, but I'd make it different. I'd use one for foot pain and put it on its own sticker and put it on your foot. And then for the back, there's an L3 one out there, and there's some general pain things for back, and I would do those. I mean, that's the way I'd handle, and I create back stickers for that and stick them on. I mean, that's how I would approach that. So a different sticker for foot pain, and then a back pain one, and try those and see how that works out. Jill, would you recommend not to exceed? Okay. So this is why do you recommend not to exceed 20 minutes? Because you're running frequencies that 0.00555. Well, the reason it's 20 minutes is because I am running it at 0.00555 for the dwell multiplier. With this, if it was at 1, let's see, do I have that in here? Let's look at that. Let's see, user, let's do this one. And so now we have this, the runtime of this is 25 minutes. If I change this, so it'd be standard, and so 1, and if it will change, if it may not, 1. Notice, I'm actually running for normal stuff, 3 hours and 51 minutes worth of programs. But because I'm running them so short, that's how we got to the 25 minutes. So I want no more than 25 minutes or 30 minutes because that's how long it's going to take to get through all the frequencies to put them in one pass. And I like to do multiple passes. So I hope that explains better than I did before, apparently, Jill. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Sherry. Okay, and each of your generators independent of each other. Yes, each generator is independent. I have an XM Pro. Well, that may be a GX Pro. So the XM, there's no Pro version of the XM. The blue generator is an XM, and the silver generator is a GX. Okay, so and actually that's a GX Pro these days. And I think that is like having 2 generators. Yes, that would be a GX Pro. There's a G1 and G2, and you'd actually show up actually in my test system here. If we look, generator 3, if you look over on the right side, it's showing a silver generator. And generator 4 is a silver generator. And yes, those are separate generators. The silver generator has 2 generators in it. And if I look at generator 5, that's a blue generator. There's only one generator and a blue generator. So I have an XM Pro, so like having 2 gen. It is. Yes, haven't plugged anything in yet, because I understand that. So yes, you'll with that kit, you'll got 2 boosts and 2 remotes. And yes, they're separate generators. You can run totally different things on each one. So that's one of the advantages of the silver generator. Hope that answers your question. Jeremy, if one places a sticker near a plasma tube while treating someone, will imprint? The answer to that is yes. Don't put it on the tube. Tubes get too hot. But yes, you can imprint that way. So I don't know that does any better job of imprinting than sticking them in a remote, but certainly you'll get the same stuff that way. So you would, especially if you're running, it's an interesting concept, by the way. If you're doing cancer, or whatever you're doing, so you're doing treatment and you put the stickers right next to it as well, then yes, if you go through all the frequencies at least once while you're doing the treatment, it should imprint. That's one of the challenges. Like in Cancer DB, a lot of those treatments run for 8 hours. Well, unless you're sitting there, if you're only sitting there for the first 2 hours, you only get the first two sets of frequencies, but that's all you're getting anyway. So I think it'd be a fascinating idea to have stickers there, and when you unhook the when you're done with whatever plasma you do today, you can stick the sticker on. That's a good idea. However, especially for serious things, I would be running remote at the same time with the same frequencies, and that's 24/7. SS, whoever that is. When putting stick on the body, can we put the sticky part? No, I always do the sticky part. Yeah, I don't think it matters where you put the sticky part and the shiny part next to the body. At least it doesn't for me, as long as you don't have an allergic reaction to the sticky part. Okay, what kind of a magnet do I need and how often? I only clear them out when I go to make them. So that's whatever you do that. And you can use any magnet as far as I'm concerned. I've used just plain refrigerator magnets. I think they're fine. Some people like these really powerful molybdenum or whatever they're called. And that if you have those, use those. They're more powerful and you can use those if you have them. I wouldn't buy any. I'd take something off the refrigerator if I needed something else. Crystal, how long do you leave the magnet on the sticker? You actually watch me do it. I mean, it takes me 3 or 4 seconds to erase 4 of them. That's all I do. I don't leave it on there. I don't do this for the next 20 minutes. I just rub it over the back for 3 or 4 seconds and I'm done. Cindy, I really appreciate a quick demo again at the end. I will try to do that. I have a feeling, since I still have 27 questions to answer, that may be a challenge to do that, Cindy. You should send me an email at spookytechhelp@gmail.com, spookytechhelp@gmail.com, and hopefully Zara will post that in the, or she already has, in the chat. I don't know. So it's not looking at the chat, and request that because the presentation went through. I've got screenshots of it all as well. So if I get a chance, I will, but it doesn't look like it's very likely. Sally, can I treat glaucoma with a sticker? Yes. You can stick them. You can stick them right here. I would put them on my eyelid. You can stick them around there. That's one of the advantages of stickers. You can put them anywhere on your body. That's not a problem. It's like a remote. It doesn't matter if you have a pacemaker or all that. It's not a big deal. So you're not doing anything electrical through your body. One channel. Let's see. After removing the imprinted stickers from the remote while it's still running, can we continually imprint a new batch of stickers with the same programs? Yeah, I can do that. I don't. What I tend to do is if I'm making a bunch of stickers, when I take the other stickers out, I'll put the new stickers in, and then I'll stop the generator and restart it. And the reason is for this elapsed time up here. Because that way, I mean, if I'm going to run this for 2 hours, I mean, this one's been running now for for an hour and 18 minutes. That way I can see how long you've been running. That's what I tend to do. If I'm making a batch of them, I'll take 4 out, put 4 new ones in, and then I stop and restart it so I can keep track of it with the number. Okay, Carol. Can you place a sticker under a watch? I wouldn't do that because of that reason. The watch there's can be magnetism in there. Having said that, though, you could stick it, and I've seen people do this on the. This is my watch that's not on at the moment. Rather than putting it here, you could put it on the band and keep it away from the watch itself. That's the way I would do that. I've done it before. Can I imprint a penny or a dime? Sure. Yeah, you can imprint most metals, so that's not a problem. Can you share the remote with the DNA stickers? And I would not. I've seen people ask that, and here's the problem with that, as I see it, is that whatever you're putting in there is absorbing the frequencies, and so I'm worried about reducing the amount, the amplitude of the frequencies being sent through the remote. So I do not do that. I played with it once or twice, and I didn't feel like it bought me anything. I think that you might end up with either bad stickers or a bad remote. I just don't want to risk it. So no, I usually would not recommend that. This is Fernando. For emotional mental conditions, helping where you place the stickers. Where I would tend to do that is the base of the skull. I think that's close enough. I mean, you definitely, you can put it on the forehead that sort of stands out there, but you can definitely put them at the base of the skull, and get effects in your brain that way. That's close enough. Nicole, these presets are safe for pets. Yes. Don't animals have different frequencies? Actually, they don't. If there's a number of, there's all kinds of presentations on treating pets with spooky and all that, and you use the same programs for them. You may need to adjust the amplitude and the settings, depending on what it is, because they're a lot smaller than we are. But there's been a number of really good presentations. The Spooky 2 Rife group has a whole document on that you can go look at. So, and there's several of the admins treat their pets routinely. Kirsten treats her horses all the time with Spooky. So yes, you can do that. Ellen, I miss it. How do you imprint? With the imprinting the coil, you actually use that coil. Yeah, you use the coil. How did I do that? I think I'm just using the same coil preset, and I just don't change it. Yes, I do. Actually, what I'm using when I do my coil, I take my remote preset, my shell, and I just hook it up. I use a coil instead. So I will do the same thing, even though it's set up for remote, and then I'll put programs in from the programs tab, and I'll hook the coil up to the high power port on the remote, I mean on the boost, and do it that way. That's how I'm doing that. When you imprint the oil using PMF, use a sticker shell. I just answered that. I actually use the sticker shell for that. I like it because it's essentially it's 40 volts. It's sine wave, and it works fine on the PMF coil as well. So I use the same one. How do you do the sticker shell for remote? How to do a shell sticker for that for remote? No, you misunderstand. No, that's the shell I created. While I based it on uh, the coil preset, it's set up and I use it directly on the remote. And actually, I use it for the coil as well if I'm going to imprint with that. So what we did, you can use on either one. Uh, One. Must the stickers be put inside the remote fully closed? Or is it still as effective? I like it closed when possible. And obviously it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're using the 1-inch stickers, you can stick 4 in there with no trouble at all and it'll close. If you're trying to do something else, like people have brought up crystals and all that sort of stuff, it becomes more debatable. I've actually done some other things in it, but didn't feel like it worked all that well. But the other things I've done in it are sort of like, I want to feel good all over my body. And I just don't like stickers for that in general. I like for localized stuff. So, but you could, and when in doubt, you can try it and see how it works. Angela, your top sticker recipes. Yeah, I've thought about doing that. One of the things been going back through, but not lately, is I want to go back through I've literally done hundreds of stickers. I actually need to go back and review them, and I'm trying to mark the ones that I really liked. Um, if you send me an email and ask me for that, when I get that done, hopefully in a week or two, I'll send that to you. Anybody else can send me that as well. I'll put you on the queue and we'll send it out to everyone. Okay, I'm creating stickers for coronary artery, artery disease. Can I tell if they're working? Well, how do you tell if anything's working? If you're taking medicine for it, how would you tell? I mean, the doctor has to tell you, or they have to do special tests, or whatever it is. By the way, if you have coronary artery disease, I'd be using the remote as well. I'd also be using the wrist laser because it does stuff directly in the blood. Um, it's something I learned from Brad Johnson talking about Cancer DB was you're running this. The only way you're going to know if it's helping is if you go and get actual tests for it, because there's no way to really test whether or not it's working unless you can feel a difference yourself. So that's the best I can offer for that. Okay, Victoria. I set up the shell preset and was running stickers on one generator. It went to set up a new shell preset. No. Oh, okay. No. So what you do is you set up a shell preset, and then you load the shell, you add programs to it, you save that, and then you run it on one of the generators. So and then for the other generator, if you want to do different stickers, load the same shell preset in it, because then it doesn't have any frequencies. There's no programs in it. You go to programs, add whatever you want in that one, save it, and then run it on another generator. Now, what happens for your other question, the percentages? See this green guy over here that's running? He is at 26%. What that 26% is how far it is into into this 1,540 steps, which means different frequencies it's going to run. So it's 27% through that list. That's all it means. That's why when it says 100%, but it's still running, because all the 100% means it's loaded the last frequency, but it's going to be done in probably 3 minutes with normal stuff. I hope that answers your question. No, you didn't go wrong anywhere, except you're running different things. You load the shell, you add the programs, you save it and load it into a generator. Then you load the shell, which blanks everything out, add new programs to it to run on the next generator. Okay, Carol. Thank you for that, Carol. Appreciate it. Uh, can this help with concussion? In my opinion, it can. I don't see a problem with that. I would, if you can put it, if you can put it under somebody's temple, get it, because it's not going to stick too well to hair or the bases of the head. That's what I would do. Cindy. When we do an empty shell, how do we know what should be changed, like waveform? It was in the presentation. I went through there a bunch of times. I wish I was going to have time to do it again, but I don't think I do. Although if when we get down to 0 questions left, I usually hang around for a little ways on that. And so if we have time, I'll go through creating a shell one more time, and I'll try to go slowly, assuming that Zara will hang around long enough. Okay, okay, Victoria, should I be running it on remote or coil? Remote, well, this presentation was about doing it on a remote. I thought it was coil. No, you've misunderstood my, I did a bad job of this. All I did is I used the coil preset as the base, but all the settings I set were for to run it on the remote. So this was actually imprinting stuff on the remote using the shell we built. And yes, it was based on a coil shell, but I don't care. It's now a remote shell. Berkana Labs, that's right. Berkana Labs is the one who sells the radionic device. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, Jenny. If you imprint onto crystals, how long would the program last? Well, it'd be the same, however it said it was going to run, if you're saying how long it'll take to imprint it. And I imprint for hours. And does it last you erase it and print again? Well, unless it gets erased some other way, yes, it'll last. And theoretically, what I've heard is that crystals, the imprint lasts longer. But I don't imprint crystals, so I have nothing to base that on other than what I've read. Let's see, Mary. Don't crystals have a permanent intrinsic? No, they do. Yes, crystals do have a permanent intrinsic frequency. However, they also pick up other frequencies. So yes, they have an intrinsic frequency, but you can put other frequencies in them. And that's what we're talking about by imprinting. Sally, I'm on Amazon, need exact ones. Well, it was, if you search on what I said, so it's hybrid stickers and what are they? I can't remember if they're they're 1 inch and they're holographic stickers. I mean, you can do a search on holographic stickers and just go through the list. That's the easiest way. Jenny, can you imprint to jewelry? Yeah, you can. You can. I know lots of people do that. Now although people tend to like copper the most for that. But yes, you can imprint anything you want to do. If it'll fit in the remote and close most of the way, you can do it that way, or you can put it on the PMF coil for a few days. Okay, I just figured it out. Somehow I saved one of the presets under biofeedback. Now you did that because when you went to save it, you double clicked on the biofeedback and then you saved in there. So now all my generators are paused. Victoria, it doesn't work that way. If you're running an actual biofeedback, doesn't matter where it is. If it's an actual biofeedback, and you hit scan when you go do that, then it pauses all the other generators. And actually, the way Spooky 2 software figures out whether to pause everything, it isn't based on what's in it. When you load a preset, let me show you this. If you load a preset, we're going to go, actually, I could do the shell. Notice there's no programs in it. If I stick that into generator 4, like this, there's nothing in here. Notice I can't press start because the software assumes if there's no frequencies in it, you're doing a scan. And of course, once you do the scan, yes, I'm in test mode, then it pauses all the other generators are running. That's the way it works until you get done. And then of course you can stop this generator and it'll unpause everything. I hope that makes sense. Karen, I've heard stickers is equivalent to contact mode. Sort of. They work very differently. And so, for instance, if you have internal organ issues, contact mode would be much more effective. Contact mode is considered to be the second most powerful method that Spooky has, with plasma being number 1. In my opinion, if you have a broken bone, then using contact mode is going to be very powerful. It's probably more powerful than using stickers, but on the other hand, you're not going to be hooked up to it all the time. So you have to consider that as well. Again, if you want to use contact mode, that's great. I would always supplement contact mode with something that's running 24/7, like the remote or with a sticker. Vladislav, I hope. Sorry. Can I imprint my golden necklace? I would, sure. I don't see a problem. Jeremy, the stickers have a biomagnetic north and south. No, they do not. What type of metal can I imprint? Well, you can print most metals. I mean, because it's not really a magnetic process. It's a crystalline process. So it doesn't have to be steel, is what it boils down to. It prints nicely, but it doesn't have to be steel. So you can do any metal you want. Jeremy, can you imprint colloidal silver for all infection? Yes, you can. That's what you want to do. You can definitely imprint that. It takes a while because I'd be using it with the PMF coil. Putting stickers on the outside of the bottle will eventually do it, but it's a very slow process. That's why I like them for supplemental. You said that the remove stickers. Yeah, yeah, that's what I tend to do. I like to run them for about 2 hours elapsed time, and then I'll take them out. And for people that have some really serious problem, and I'm making stickers all the time, I have a friend that's doing that. I mean, they're not using the remote for anything else anyway. They just leave the stickers in there, and when they need one, they get one out, and that way they're nice and fresh. So that's a possibility as well. Jeremy, um, I've had much success with dual PEMF coils. Unauthorized. Can stickers be imprinted during the treatment, as with plasma? I've not done stickers on a PEMF coil. My answer to that is yes, I don't see why you couldn't, but depends on how you're doing the PEMF coil and where you're gonna put the stickers. But yes, that should work, because that's the best way to put it. Mary, if you run frequencies of the spooky machine directed at one family member, health issues will negatively affect other family members who don't have the health issue. No, the general answer is no. If you're doing killing stuff, for the most part, you only absorb the frequencies that affect that you need, essentially. There are exceptions to that. If you run terrain on and everybody's in there, can be affected and get hurt stuff and all that sort of stuff. If you are smoking machine directed one family member. So by directed, I don't know if you mean with a DNA sample in the remote, in which case only the person's DNA is going to be affected. If you're talking about a sticker, only the person wearing the sticker is going to be done. If you're talking about you're creating something and they're just near the equipment, no, it's not going to affect them. I think that answered all the possibilities. Cindy, I understand the change you made during the presentation. To rephrase the question, do you have to make changes like this on every empty shell you create? Well, the only empty shell I've ever created actually is for this uh, for imprinting with the remote for stickers. I don't make changes to shells. My belief is, for the most part, the shells that spooky ships should be left alone. They know what they're doing. They know more than me. The difference is they didn't ship a sticker shell. They didn't do that. So I created my own. I hope that makes sense for you. I'm trying to answer the best I can. So I don't, an empty shell is something that you create, and then you put your own programs in it, and then you save that, and that becomes a custom preset. I hope that makes sense for you, Cindy. WAN, what's the optimum number of frequencies to be stacked and imprinted? Well, currently I'm stacking about 150 frequencies is a lot. Will the number of stickers in the remote matter? Yes, it does. I don't do more than 4. In essence, more stickers in the remote needs longer imprinting time. Yes, that would be theoretically true. But one of the things I found with Spooky is an interesting device because you're experimenting with it. What's going to work for whatever you have. So, it'd be really interesting to say, well, I have this severe knee pain. I'm going to try stickers this way, and I'm going to try stickers this way and compare them. I got news for you. If I have pain and I try this and it works, I'm not trying any other way. I want it to work. So I don't do a lot of that sort of experimenting. And most people don't for that reason. So I 150 frequencies, in my opinion, is a lot of frequencies. It goes back to, if you use my shell, if it's more than 20 or 30, I think that's too many. And people have a tendency to say, I have these 29 things wrong with me. I'm going to go find 250 programs to solve everything and put them on a sticker. That is not a good idea. Okay, Vladimir, Vladislav, I'm sorry. Can I imprint my bracelet, but it has magnets inside? I would not do that. I think you could imprint the parts that don't have magnets, but I don't believe you can imprint magnets. Okay, Cindy says perfect sense. Okay, we're 11 minutes over. Okay. Take some notes. We're gonna go make we're gonna go through the shell one more time. So I'll try to go through slowly. Okay, so we're gonna go to presets, the presets tab. Here we're in the presets tab. Then I'm gonna go to home. I'm trying to make enough time to give you some notes. So now we're in home and presets. Then I'm gonna go to shell, empty presets, like that. So now we're at shell, empty presets. And then I'm gonna go to coil, because that's what I like. So in coil, there's 4 different ones. We're gonna do generator direct. That's the one I'm gonna load. I'm going to click on that. Okay, so now I have this loaded. Now I'm going to go to programs. Here I am in programs. It has no loaded programs. I'm going to change repeat frequency by clicking in it. I hit the backspace. I type in 20. Then I hit the tab key. That's the key next to the Q on the keyboard. Then I'm going to check, yes, remote repeat chain is 0, which is what I wanted. Then I'm going to change the dwell multiplier. Backspace, 0.00555. And then the tab key. Otherwise, it doesn't save it. So hopefully you're sort of caught up. We'll give you a few minutes here before I switch from the screen. And what you might want to do, remove duplicates, turn these two off. This would be a good time. This would be a good time to take a picture with your phone so you can see what this is like. All right, so that's where we are. Now we're going to go to settings. And in settings, I'm going to change the offset to 0, tab, and then this one to 0, tab. And notice the amplitude is 20 volts. Everything else is fine. So you might want to take a picture of this screen so you can see what we're doing. And then finally, I'm going to go back to presets, and I'm going to hit the little blue guy here, and I'm going to save it. I get to name them anything I want. This is shell sticker, and you can call it anything you want. Sticker number 3. I think I can do it. Sounds in here. Number 3 is now saved. Then if I hit this guy here, it's the one that I just created. So to use it, I'd go here in the user, I'd click here, I'd go to the programs tab and add anything I want to this thing. Whatever I want to add, I'd put these things in, and if I wanted some of these drugs in it, I could do that. And then I tend to save it, and eventually, once I save it, I can go click on this, click on it, and run it. And then, see, this one's only going to run for 1 minute. I still leave it in there for 2 hours. I don't care what it says here. I tend to leave things in for at least 2 hours. All right, I don't have any open questions. Are there any other questions that we need to before we shut this down? I'm sorry for going over, Zara, but there were a lot of questions to be answered. Okay, Ryan, what are you doing? You raised your hand. Do you want to type something in the Q&A? We still have 135 people on. I don't know how many we got to begin with. Let's see, Q&A. No. Let me look at chat, see if you're in here. People are starting to sign out. I'd like to do that as well. Okay. Well, there's no open questions. Everybody's thanking me. I appreciate that. Okay. Oh, when you set up number no, no, I used the coil preset to begin with, but then I changed it. You can use it for the coil, but my intention was to use it like it was after I changed it for the remote. So I will load that. I will put programs in it. Then I'll put it on a generator with a remote. That's what I'm going to do. So it is set up as a remote, even though I started with the coil. Doesn't make any difference. Hope that makes sense, Jeremy. I keep getting Ryan raising his hand, but I don't know why. Ryan, if you post to the Q&A or to the chat and you have a question, I'll do my best to answer it. Brenda, thank you. Fernando. Put your stickers in the remote. That's the answers, Fernando. Load that shell, add programs to it, and run it on a remote. Can we store a program in an external backup? Well, the program is just it's just a text file. You can put it anywhere you want. It has to be in the user directory to use it, but yes, you can put it anywhere you want. To be honest, I'd back up the entire C spooky directory once a month or so. That way, if the computer goes south, at least you can have that stuff. Will this vid be on the Academy? Yes, in a few days. What day is this? This is I don't know if it'll be this weekend or not. It depends how busy Zara is. Okay, and Carlos, detox disappeared from my software. No, they probably haven't, Carlos. What you're probably seeing is this. This. What you're probably seeing, I don't know what level of software you're running, Carlos, but one of the things they did here and lately is if you look in detox, it used to be there was just a terrain stuff, but now there's actually a terrain in here, and that's where you get the remote and all that. That's probably what you're seeing. Other than that, you need to send me an email or go ask on Facebook to figure out what's going on. But they should still be there, especially if everything else is still there. If that's not true, then you'd have to reinstall the software. And if you decide to do that, don't uninstall it first, because they'll save everything. It takes care of it all. Is it safe to use sticker on my daughter for eczema? I can't answer that. Spooky does not. The formal thing is Spooky does not recommend using Spooky for children. That is the official position, and that's the best thing to do. I've done Spooky on younger kids, but that's me pushing. You have to make up your own mind on that. The stickers are a very, very mild set of frequencies, so take that for what it's worth. It's the best I can do for you, man. Okay. Anything else? I think we're done. Uh, Thank you for everybody for attending. I hope you find this as it was helpful. Feel free to send me emails or seek me out on Facebook, or especially like I said, the Right for Life is just an excellent resource. And by the way, I'll put in one more plug for the user's guide. The user's guide is pretty good. How do you remove the sticker from the remote? Ooh, that's a good question. Basically, what I do with that is let's show you. Share. Okay, the way I do that is here we are. Here's my remote. Stickers are inside. Really, while it's still on, I open it and I pull them out like this. And sometimes it takes more than one, but I literally pull them out like that, and then I put more in or whatever. And then I do this while it's hooked up and while it's running. Not a problem. And done. Use magnetic settings. Not not exactly, Jeremy. They are both using electronic stuff, and they both are using magnetism to do their thing. I don't know the super details in that, but yes, they are using one of the things. If you take a piece of steel and put it to the top of the remote, it sticks. There's a magnet in here. There isn't one in the bottom. So that's what I can tell you for sure. So yes, it's some sort of magnetism they're using to do it. How can I get out of test mode? Okay, that's an interesting one. You're in test mode. Well, there's two different reasons you could be in test mode. Let me do this again. Share. Go back to this one. This is actually in test mode. You can tell it's in test mode because up here it says test mode. What usually happens for people is I'm telling it. I'm going to see. No, I can do this as a. And okay, if you had a problem, you can do a rescan devices, and then it'll tell you, hey, I didn't find any generators. If you get that and say, no, I don't want to exit, then this will look like this. That says, and I don't care that it says it's doing something. If you have this many generators, that means it didn't find any generators at all. Generally, that's because you didn't install the drivers or didn't install them correctly. Or maybe your generators were turned off when you brought up Spooky. If that's the case, turn the generators on, go into utils, and do a rescan devices. This is what it does when it finds up, and it should find it. But that's the reason it's like that. So until you get out of test mode, oops, dang it, I didn't want to do that. Until you get out of test mode, no, yeah, shut that down. Until you get out of test mode, you can't do a biofeedback. It's got to have generators to do that. I hope that answers that question. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate it. You guys need to start typing faster if you want to have any other questions for me to answer. If it's choosing experimental presets, I don't know what you mean by that, William. Do you choose select coil? Usually, if it's a preset, presets are usually built for a specific delivery method. If it's a remote presets for remote. If it's a coil, then it says coil. So, for making stickers. Well, what I don't understand what I do know. That's I had the question so many times. So so essentially, for what we did from here, you're going to load the shell, put in some frequencies, and then you're going to put your stickers in a remote, then load it into remote and run it. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't worry about how I made it. Doesn't make any difference. It's set up for remote now. That's what we did. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right. Yes, Sarah, I think we're done. Sorry to keep you so long. Thank you, everybody. I hope that I've answered your questions. Email me if you have more questions, and we'll take care of you. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys later.